And
Shall we?
yeah, let's do it. Paddy, you're on.
Yeah. My arm.
Your arm.
My arm is perfectly fine. I don't
Now-
see any reason why I should do anything to my arm. Were you going to start, like, singing the tune?
Boop, 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 boop.
No, wait. Josh,
Do
you wanna-
Nope.
do you want to
Yay!
do you want to look at the run sheet so you can have an idea of what's
What?
happening?
Prep work.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Put it up.
Who needs prep work?
We've had like
What kind of
6
show is
months
this?
to get this together.
So the problem is looking at the camera. I look at the TV to look at you, but then you need to look at me through the camera. So it's
What? See, if I did this,
where are you positioning your camera?
I can look
No,
straight
it's-
at you guys. But
That's
can't
pretty
see
good.
Josh.
And if I do this, now I look at the camera, but I also have to look up at the screen. It's
It's fine. You got a nice.
it's interesting. At least I can see you.
You're very
That's,
clean shaven down there under your chin. It's nice to look at.
I have a little bit of
That's
shadow. You can see
that's some
it does
fantastic
automatic
Foley
zoom.
work. Anyone
Now
who
you
can
know.
hear that's Paddy scratching his clean shaven skin.
Wait, what? We've started?
Yeah, we've been recording for a
Yeah.
while. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. Yes. Wait. It's season 2. Okay, I'm hearing there's no arguments with that. That's good.
It's you again. Go.
It's me again. Hello, everybody, recording live from somewhere. This is the Calmer Iguana podcast, the podcast for the modern, discerning, decent human beings. I am Paddy G. With me, as always, every week, he is the sheik of shakes, I guess. Maybe shake weights. It's Wilson.
Hello? That was good. The camera zoomed right in on you just as you started talking about me for some reason, but the audience at home can't see that, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, until they upgrade the $500 premium account to view the live recording. And also with me, he last saw a film, and it was Deliverance. It's Ev.
It was more like a home movie. It's yeah.
It's just a summer vacation video.
It just happens to look like Deliverance. That's all.
You're talking about our time we found those canoas in the woods?
We don't speak about that.
Wait, was I one of the canoers?
No.
Are you sure? Because I remember being in a canoe once with you.
No. We found some canoas up in the Appalachian Mountains. And, had some fun with them, eh, Josh?
So anyway, maybe I'll just put a box around this section and we can take that out. That's fine. People don't need to know what we do on our weekends.
Yeah.
So we have a big first show for season 2. Well, there's a lot to cover. Well, there's some things to talk about. So definitely we've got movies that have been happening. There's some new games that have been going on. We'll talk a bit about Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands as our hot take for this week. But before we get into all of that, gents, it's been a little bit of time. Things have been happening. What's been happening around? Ev?
Okay. Well, I guess we need to address why we went on hiatus and why it took so long to come back. It took so long to come back because we're lazy. And No, I mean, Paddy had a
No, we're
baby.
just genuinely lazy.
Yeah, that's it. Well, there's nothing lazy about having a baby, let's face it. And Wilson got married. So, because we're all heavily involved in all of these things together, well, maybe not so much the baby making and delivering,
No, no,
but
no, no. There was you all played a crucial and critical part in the creation of this child.
yes,
There could be
In
some
more ways, in more ways than you'll know.
Speaking, there could be some ways to be lazy when having a child, especially if you're a dude.
Well, I mean, it depends. Also, you guys, yeah, you're front of mind, shall we put it?
Shucks.
What?
Wait, yeah, wait.
We should dig deeper into this.
Don't make that hand gesture. Ev. That's just. What
I
are you
was just-
doing? Are you
I was cradling the
insinuating
mouse.
it was?
What are you?
Oh God.
Anyway, all right. So I apologize to our handful of faithful listeners, but in the
That
meantime,
should.
it's been quite a busy time for all of us, really. TV, games, movies. There's been heaps of stuff coming out, and it's only going to get better as the year goes by. I've been watching Iron Fist, Dirk Gently, and getting into Black Mirror. If you're going to watch Black Mirror, the first one is weird. They don't relate to each other.
Yeah.
So if you want to, skip the first one. I don't think we can get a rating high enough to actually go into what happens in the first one.
Do not skip the first one. The first one's good.
Stick with
Uh,
it.
First
it's-
one's the best
Yes.
episode.
I've not seen Black Mirror as yet. However, definitely heard what the first episode is about. It is not for the weak of heart. So it's a really divisive show, from what I've heard. So a lot of people I know like it, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, it's actually it's quite surreal. It's quite a it's got a good sort of, I guess, social commentary, I guess, for the sort of the episodes." But a lot of other people are just like, it's just too weird. It's maybe too eclectic for them. I guess it's one of those things, you're gonna like it or you're not.
I think there's a certain type of person who doesn't like to watch a show that doesn't have a storyline, like a main connecting story and a point, I guess. So it's probably the biggest complaint I've heard is that they're not really that connected in your traditional sense. But yeah, and then
Very
movies.
very Twilight Zone-ish.
Yeah, that's
Sorry
pretty
to
much what
interrupt.
everyone
Very
said is
Twilight
Twilight Zone rebooted. Yeah, and movies, there's been quite a bit come out, and obviously we're starting to get into the end game for Marvel. So Guardians of the Galaxy, saw that just the other day, and getting really, really keen for Thor Ragnarok.
I'm looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well. I haven't seen it. I'm not too sure when I'm going to get the chance. I do happen to have this entire next week off from any work duties, so I might try to pop down, do the loner thing, and see a movie by myself. I'm not above doing that. So yeah, but I have to give a rewatch to the first one. I think not just for any other reason than it's a solid movie.
Yeah, it's a good fun movie. And also, I don't know what the main complaint is about going to see a movie on your own. Like, seriously. It's the one thing that should be acceptable to go do on your own, because you can't talk to anyone while you're in there. Sorry, we just got extreme
exactly.
zoom. The auto camera on the other end.
It picks peculiar moments to do the zoom. I'm not entirely sure why. It decided it was a good idea when I was scratching my nose, but again, this is fantastic for the listeners at home who have no concept. What are you doing with your lips? What the hell are you doing with your lips? Do you have a condition that you haven't told us about?
Okay, this again with the $500 package, you get front row seats to Josh doing weird stuff with his mouth.
Oh my goodness. Before we move on from it to Ragnarok, I haven't actually seen the trailer myself. Sometimes with child, it gets difficult to find a free moment. But I've heard a lot of people talk about it. And there seems to be some mix, kind of like it looks really
1980s?
Yeah, but almost like it's like not in a, hey, this is a cool kind of like throwback kind of look, more of just like, oh, it looks really tacky.
I really like the look of the trailer, and the font especially, like that they use in there is very cool 1980s retro vibe to it. And it's an awesome trailer as well. Like,
yeah, I think part of it comes from, allegedly, Guardians of the Galaxy is supposed to tie into Thor at some point, along with Doctor Strange, and I guess they're trying to get a similar feel across all those movies, and just try and sync them up a little bit style-wise. So I think we'll start to see the Thor storyline, in style, random humor, catchy tunes, that sort of thing. So then it's not so jarring when it hits Guardians.
well, that's interesting because Iron Man was originally a member. Was not originally, but he was at one point a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure that Thor ever was, so it would make more sense for Iron Man to come across. But I suppose the Iron Man trilogy is kind of done now, so they really Thor's the only chance they have.
Well, and also Thor is in space, so for them they can tie together the fact that Thor's out there, Guardians are out there. I mean, why else would Iron Man be in space? Because they don't really have that, like the space station in interplanetary travel, that sort of thing going.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
I'm just waiting for the what's the name of that group? Cyclops' dad's in. I want them to show up.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
The Marvel Galaxy's always been very strange. Like, you've got the Guardians of the Galaxy running around one end of the galaxy, and then the X-Men and Cyclops' dad running around the other end, and never the twain shall meet. Like, surely the Guardians would have shown up during the Dark Phoenix saga or something like that. But,
So
hello?
what have you been up to?
Yes, we concur.
Yes.
It's like how Iron Man didn't show up when Hulk was fighting the Abomination in fucking Brooklyn, or Spider-Man didn't show up when the Fantastic Four were ripping apart. It's hard to maintain with all these movies.
They were busy. There was stuff going on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this world and this universe won't protect itself.
Actually, that's a point as well. I think a lot of it was concurrent, because no spoilers, but in Guardians of the Galaxy, there's one scene particularly where I swear they travel through the background of a planet that Thor, the Dark Elf, and Loki are fighting from the second Thor movie. So yeah, and I think that was like a little, just to bring it in line so you know that when this stuff's happening, that's where it fits into the timeline. But it's really hard when you're watching it in a cinema, you can't exactly like pause and zoom and check out what's going on.
Yeah.
One thing good though.
One thing I do have to point out about Guardians of the Galaxy was Drax writing. Was it Drax? Yeah, Drac. How cool was his writing? Like,
Drax was good.
They've really found the stride with that character since the last movie, and he was probably one of the standout things in that new movie.
And that interplay between he and Mantis all the way through was just hilarious. Like, it was great.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No spoilers.
Who's Mantis?
I don't know who
Exactly.
Mantis is.
No, that's fine. What have you guys been doing for the home team, for the crowd?
Awesome.
What's going on?
Wilson?
Yeah, just been playing probably everything that's come out since the last podcast. The highlights probably being Mass Effect, Sniper Elite, Ghost Recon, and Nier Automata. I was finally, swayed by all the reviews and video stuff I've seen on YouTube over the last week, calling Nier Automata probably the game of the year and the greatest game ever made and masterpiece. So I picked that up on Friday, waited for it to download, and finally got my hands on it to play a bit of it this morning. Very Japanese, which I usually don't go for in a video game. It's not. It's the only other like very Japanese game that I've ever really played is Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, it's a bit not difficult to wrap my head around, but just the stylistically, the musical choices and stuff is different to what I'm used to. But I've played about 4 or 5 hours of it and hoping to get into it a bit more because the story is apparently really good. Sniper Elite, I finished last night. It's a pretty good game. Got to kill some Nazis, which is good.
Always good to kill Nazis.
Yep. Always good to step back and kill some Nazis. They're the one good guy one bad guy. They're the people you can go to provide good enemies because you can't feel bad about killing them.
Good save.
Yeah, there's been some changes in the off season between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, why have you started shaving your head? And
this is new tattoo on your arm.
what is that? Some sort of good luck symbol?
Ass Effect. Ass Effect. I was looking forward to Andromeda coming out, but really they should have just left it at 3. I think. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it. I've probably 3/4 of the way through it. I think I've made 7 out of the 8 planets or whatever at 100%, and I'm just like I have no motivation to finish it. I've unlocked the sex scene, so there's not that anymore.
You're done. You're spent.
The main part's been discovered.
Left.
Yep, done. That's about it. Just mostly looking forward to the new games and new season of the podcast coming out.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
You talking about Mass Effect kind of ties into how I feel about it in general. Like, I'm happy for it to have ended at 4. There's nothing
3.
that I've seen that really makes me feel like... Wait, I said 4. I meant 3. Try that again. I'm editing. I can cut this all out.
You can do whatever you want.
I can do what I want this time. I don't have Paddy leaving me out there.
You have the power. Yeah.
With all these
That's
false
it.
statements.
My weird editing hands. They get weird when they edit, and then things.
They leave stuff in.
It's for my eczema.
But how do they get it?
Psoriasis. You have 1,000 emus,
and you squeeze them.
You squeeze them just for
15 mils.
15 mils of emu.
Yeah. So it is the active ingredient is emu oil.
The truth behind
it's 100% pure emu oil as well.
The
just
truth
to make sure.
The great emu war.
Yes, you're zooming in on me, camera. Yeah. Well done. This is good. I like this.
It knows.
The premium viewers will be enthralled. They'll enjoy this.
This is what the great
thoroughly.
emu war was about. We were attacking them for their oil.
Yeah, I only recently found out that was an actual thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The emu war. It's, it's. I think it's in the Second World War, First World War, then Emu Wars, and then the Boer War. Yeah.
Got to deal with all that army surplus somehow.
That's right, exactly. It's a surplus emus. What are you looking at?
Are you taking more ninja
I love
photos
the automatic
of me?
zooming on this camera. This is fantastic.
Anyway, Mass Effect.
Yeah, sorry, Mass Effect. You can edit this.
Yeah. We'll cut that off. Well, maybe not the emu bit. Oh man, I'm not motivated to play it. Like, I've got nothing that makes me want to actually fire it back up again, because I loved 2 and 3. I have to admit, I've played a bit of 1, but haven't ever completed it. But I liked the characters, the story arcs, everything rounded off, finished quite nicely. Like, it felt done. Like, it was, I was okay with where it was. And then all the negative press around this one, it just hasn't left me feeling like I need to play it.
Yep. That's, don't feel the need to play it. It's not that great. Paddy, what have you been up to?
Baby, mostly.
Wait, you have a baby?
I do. My God.
Congratulations.
When did that happen?
Thank you. Very suddenly and quickly, last night. No. No, he arrived in December last year, so it's been a roller coaster, I guess, of emotion. Though he's really good. He's good fun. It's fun just to see him develop and grow. The way he interacts with things now, he's just becoming more and more interactive. So it's pretty fun to watch all that sort of happen. But
it sounds like the history of video games. They become more and more interactive as they get older.
It is. He started off as Pong and Asteroid, and now he's probably at about Altered Beast. I guess maybe.
Yeah.
a bit more fun. The fidelity is still pretty low, And every now and again, like it is probably early arcade era, very early home console era. He's pretty good. Every now and again, though, he pumps out some shit. So
he's going to come home from primary school one day just holding the dripping spine of one of his enemies, and you'll be like, the Mortal Kombat era.
Excellent. Well done. Get over here. But other than that, so other than fatherly duties, which have been good fun, I've had the chance to sort of get back into some video games at this stage. I revisited Dirt Rally with the Dirt 4 sort of impending, I guess. It's due next month, and we'll get to some of the new releases coming up. But yeah, with Dirt 4 sort of coming out, realized I'd not played enough Dirt when it first came out, so getting back into that, rally driving is hard, but it's a really it is a solid rally offering. Was talking to someone else today about it, and they were sort of saying, it's really good, it's a good game, but you've got sort of all you've got is, I guess, rallying in it. You got one style of game, you go around similar sort of like tracks, but I think that's not really a negative. It's how much detail they put into that, I guess, as a sim. It's really good. It can be as hard as you want to make it, or it can be as arcadey and easy as you want. But the level of detail they genuinely put into the game makes it a good, fun rally sim that we haven't seen for a long time. A little bit of Battlefield 1. I sort of like it's a little bit of a time waster, I guess. When I'm sort of waiting for something to load up, I might sort of play around online or something. I guess it's just like any other first-person shooter at this point that you play multiplayer. I'm not good enough to try to get all like the gold level stuff. It's just a bit of a run around, shoot some things, and have a bit of fun. So that's not been too bad.
Did you ever get a chance to try out the new not the new, but when it came out, the different modes? Because I remember when we were playing it together, we tried to play that Onslaught mode, and it didn't go anywhere. So have you played much of that since in the last 6 months, really?
Tried to play a little bit of the Onslaught mode, and there's sort of like a campaigny kind of mode, I guess. There's sort of a not really story, but I guess there's a campaign as such where the two multiplayer teams will continue to sort of fight for objectives across a series of, say, 4 maps until you have sort of an ultimate winner. I think it's a really interesting game mode. I played it maybe once because it just doesn't get the traction. People are going to a Battlefield game or like the new Call of Duty World War II game that we'll talk about a bit later. They go to that because they want to play some multiplayer, and all they want to do is just shoot some people and not have to worry too much about story. They don't really go for any sort of story-rich kind of experience. They just want to get a gun and shoot it, and hope some things get in the way of the bullets. So it's kind of sad that I think that was a really interesting mode, but they just people just didn't take up on it. And so the main modes like Conquest are the ones that get all the airtray and traction. But other than those two things, I've been playing some Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands. If you guys are cool with it, I'll just jump into the hot take.
Go right ahead.
Sounds good.
Cool. So, Ubisoft's latest Tom Clancy effort, Ghost Recon Wildlands, is everything we wanted from Tom Clancy's The Division, and not a lot of what we wanted from the next Ghost Recon. For those familiar with Tom Clancy and his work, Wildlands is somewhat akin to Clear and Present Danger, his novel, in terms of what the story is about. American Special Forces go to South American country, kill drug lords, and then return triumphant. But unlike Tom Clancy works, the story is pretty barren. Positioned on the Venn diagram between a Tom Clancy novel, Netflix's Narco series, and a standard video game story, drug lord tropes and unnecessary, and more importantly, unfunny humor mar an already light-on story. Humor, I hear you ask. Why? But Tom Clancy, even in video game form, isn't too concerned with humor. Indeed, humor is not without its place in storytelling, but the shitballs your character or teammates will utter when something goes awry is less funny and more annoying, especially a few hours in. While there is story to be had, you're unlikely to be interested in continuing to play because of the compelling story. Gameplay is typical third-person action and leans on previous Ghost Recon titles' squad management. Or is squad direction more apt? I think so. The squad's control is intuitive enough, but often squad mates will hang back when you want them to go in for the kill. Early game, AI squad mates can seem both unnecessary and overpowered. Enemy AI moves well, takes cover as you would expect, and completes an action as you might expect, like trying to flee for a nearby helicopter when under attack to take the sky and get further reinforcements. But weapons and skills the player unlocks early and along the way means that AI is really no threat. However, perhaps the game's bright spot exists in the multiplayer. Co-op multiplayer, while not any more challenging, is certainly more fun and can give you the freedom to approach the missions on the huge open-world map as you please. This, coupled with better character customization, in clothes and accessories at least, make this the type of experience players should have had from The Division. Not going to set the world on fire, but certainly something to pass the time with until the next big release. I would say maybe wait till it's on sale. That's my take.
Nice one. So overall,
Sounds good.
then, when it comes down to like the multiplayer side of this, do you reckon it'll get some longevity, or maybe just sort of pass through after a couple of months?
It's certainly got spaces for longevity. I think it depends on what you want from it and what you're going to like to take out of it. The gameplay is certainly good. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a broken system. It works pretty well. Shooting feels pretty good. Playing multiplayer as done with Wilson a couple times now. It's pretty easy and pretty good to just jump around into vehicles, whether it's to the helicopters or on like dirt bikes or into jeeps, and just drive around the big open world, shoot some stuff. And it's more, I guess, the way we've approached things like Destiny, in terms of it's good to just get on and have a bit of a chat and just sort of shoot at things. There's not, like I say, a very rich sort of story, which is, I guess, what it tries to be. It's not trying to be like a multiplayer shooter where, you know, you're shooting at other players. It's trying to be a story that you can get your friends involved in and be sort of, you know, take on the drug cartel as a squad, you know, take on the Santa Blanca and destroy them all, and, you know, leave Bolivia free from the drug overlords. But past that much of a story, there's not an awful lot. So, you know, you take out some of the henchmen along the way. I think that's an interesting and unique sort of, well, not unique, but an interesting mechanic, similar to sort of the Batman Arkham City, I guess, approach of the Joker's henchmen. Similar, you can sort of come across like lieutenants and other sort of 2ICs and what have you within the cartel that you can interrogate. You might find some intel that helps you story-wise, or you might find, more often than not, intel that helps you locate weapons caches or side missions to unlock sort of further things. So there's not an awful lot of story development through those sort of things. And not even really from if you look at a Destiny as a parallel, there's a lot of lore and story hidden in like the Grimoire cards and all these side things. So while you have the story missions and they tell stories, you come out of that and then things can be embellished through all these extra story cards on the side. You don't really get anything like that even out of the side story kind of things. It's more just, here are the bad guys, here's like, play the story missions to either unlock intel or to further where you need to go next. Everything's kind of a go to this place and shoot these things or shoot these people and then go to the next place until you've done that and then you've cleared an area. So, like I said, having said that, it's not why you're going to want to play it. You're going to want to play it because it's the shooting feels good enough, it's serviceable, and you can play around with your mates and just sort of shoot the breeze. So,
yeah, you said the Batman there, but I reckon those lieutenants are probably closer to something like Shadows of, or a less interactive Shadows of Mordor or Shadows of War Nemesis system, in that, you know, you can take them out to take out the hierarchy, but they don't get replaced and you don't get any promotions, etc., like you did in the Nemesis system, which was originally meant to go into a Batman game. One of the big things I've noticed on Facebook among the military veteran community is they are actually really appreciating the level of humor in the game. Like a lot of the jokes and stuff inside the squad mates will tell to each other have gotten a lot of traction in the military veteran community around on Facebook. Yeah. So that's quite interesting. In terms of
So
AI,
it's realistic then.
yeah, it is. Some of those jokes are pretty good, like the alligator shoes one and the Ranger, the Delta Force stick one.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think certainly from a humor perspective, it's more. I finished a couple of nights ago one of the first big sort of area mission, take down like the first sort of heads of. It's a couple. They were without too many spoilers. They are the first area kingpins, I guess I'll call them. They are a couple, a man and a woman. And in the lead up, you get some intel on who they are, and it's time to take them out. Now that we've got the opportunity, and they give, I think, too much information that's not necessary. It's like, like they were surgeons together and they did these things, and it was love at first sight, and they spent too long on lingering shots of their in-game Facebook and posts like "I love you 5 ever" because it's one more than 4, and it's like, well, it's not that funny. It's
very juvenile,
funny, but it's very juvenile. Like it's not like what you would expect out of I guess something that when you put Tom Clancy on it, you kind of expect that it's going to take itself very seriously, and that those story beats and the humor they try to push into the story just doesn't stack up with the realism they put on everything else.
Well, that's what I like about harking back to earlier in the podcast, Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor and stuff. I mean, nothing goes out of its way to be too funny, but the humor comes from the heroes making jokes to each other. So instead of trying to find that humor in their cutscenes, they should maybe just make the cutscenes more serious and then let the jokes and stuff that the heroes tell each other come through to the light.
Yeah, that certainly would have been a better approach.
In terms of AI, though, I mentioned earlier I had been playing Sniper Elite 4 over the last couple of days, and it's interesting comparing that to Ghost Recon. In Ghost Recon, you can hide in a bush and throw distractions, and enemies will come at you one by one, and you can just take them all out quietly. The biggest challenge in Sniper Elite is getting enemies separated from their colleagues. You'll go and hide and do the classic stealth game trick of whistling and getting the enemy to come out to you. He'll go, instead of coming out by himself like he does in Splinter Cell or Ghost Recon or Zero Dawn or any of the stealth games that have ever come out, he'll say to his mates, "I'm going to go look over there, come with me and watch my back." Similarly, if you do manage to separate one by himself and take him out, 5 seconds later, his lieutenant will notice one of my troops is missing. Let's go look for him. So that's actually one of the really good things about Sniper Elite 4 that I've noticed, and it allows you to set up awesome. It allows for some really good gameplay opportunities, like putting a grenade or a telemine, anti-infantry mine underneath the dead body and waiting for his lieutenant to come and look for him. That's I find that quite good, and I've been trying to play it stealthy, but it's just too fun in that game to build these huge traps and end up killing 20 people just with one shot by setting up traps and letting them know where you are. Yeah, but. I agree. Yeah, in terms of that, and I guess that's why I say the AI behaves, I guess, as you probably expect in any other kind of stealth-ish sort of game. The only thing is, I think it's too easy to lose like a tag. You sort of pop up. You can be standing straight upright, and someone's starting to get, I guess, you're starting to get someone's attention. All you need to do is just crouch back down behind that wall you're standing behind, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, he must have gone. So there's no consistency in that side. But once engaged, I think that the AI does a decent serviceable job of, trying to run around, trying to flank a little bit. So it's not bad. If you're interested in trying it out, I'd suggest or waiting for a sale, or if you are keen, buy it now. Is just sort of wait for the next big purchase to come out. Well, it is only $50 at JB at the moment. Well, it was last time I looked, because they obviously did what they did with Transformers a few years ago and buy way too many of them. Yeah, that's if you're in Australia. Yeah, feel free to go down to JB. I think $50 at the moment, so that's pretty good.
I think $50 is worth it. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's say before we kick into news, we take a quick break to have a word from our sister podcast.
Hey Bat fans, it's the Dad Knight here, coming to you from the Batcave. Join the Just Us League with Red Thunder, The Probe, LL Cool Elder, and myself as we bring you weekly videocasts reviewing all the latest comic book shows like Gotham, Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow, plus all the latest comic book movies and much, much more. Head over to www.frombatcave.com for all the info and links to find our episodes. That's www.frombatcave.com. Hope to see you there, Bat fans.
Welcome back. You just clapped in the middle. Welcome back to the Iguana Cast. That was a message from our friends over at Cabana Productions. Let's lead in with some news.
News time. There's been a fair bit of news. A lot of things have happened in the time since Season 1 ended and Season 2 started. Let's have a look at I guess, some of the most important and recent news. First one to touch on around Call of Duty not Modern Warfare. It's World War II. They've completely... Well, it's modern compared to the Battlefield 1 entry. There's a new Call of Duty going back to World War II. Are we surprised?
Not really. Nah, I mean, it's just a case of, Battlefield 1 doing it and then Call of Duty going, us too. I mean, I was really impressed with Call of Duty Future Warfare or whatever the fuck it was called. That was really cool. But yeah, where could they go from there, really, unless they went full Star Wars-ish? They had to go back. They couldn't go back to World War One, so unless they're willing to go back to the Battle of Gettysburg, I guess they have to go to World War Two. I would appreciate a Vietnam War game, though.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a really good when they touched on in Black Ops that it was all sort of based in that kind of time period, and it wasn't Vietnam War, but it was certainly around there. And then you've got, obviously, what was the Bad Company? Was there a Battlefield Bad Company game that was set in Vietnam? I'm sure there was
Battlefield Vietnam.
Battlefield Vietnam. So it's not an oft explored area, and certainly when we've had the countless number of World War II shooters, I wouldn't be adverse to a Vietnam era game either.
Yeah, especially with that music.
Yeah.
The music was fantastic, and I think that was a big draw card of Battlefield Vietnam and not so much Bad Company, but it had some good music in it.
Yeah. I always get Fortunate Son stuck in my head. Anytime I hear the word Vietnam, it just, because of Battlefield, it just pops straight in. And Flight of the Valkyries when you get in a helicopter.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, I agree. It's the moment. It's like, like a Vietnam game. It's like down now. It's just credence.
I reckon World War II is safe money though, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Call of Duty do a Vietnam game next. So
it'd be good to see. I'm certainly going to get the World War II game.
You know what they haven't seen though? I've never seen a Korean War game. That would be an interesting time period to see.
It would be fascinating. But do you think they'd ever do it?
I don't think so.
It could be done. Like, it's conventional warfare. Vietnam was very much guerrilla warfare, fighting in the jungle and all that stuff. Whereas Vietnam War, you had like the Korean War, they had like, go and capture that hill and like very much conventional World War II style warfare in a completely different terrain. So I reckon you could actually do that pretty well. I think one of the best missions in Battlefield 1 was the one where you were playing as the Italian dude walking around the Alps, and I reckon you could get some very similar vibes in the Korean if you did a Korean War. But then again, Korean War is kind of still happening, so it might be a bit touchy.
And that's what I'm sort of thinking as well, is that culturally it still has, I don't know, a bit of a wide-reaching effect, I guess, on a lot of the neighbouring countries, which would also form up, not to name names, but quite a large part of their consumer base. And they may not actually like any representations that we would put forward, I guess, as to
what's the
how it went.
Two biggest What are the two biggest markets outside of the US would be China and South Korea. So you wouldn't want to both of them would probably be fairly pissed off by a Korean War game, I guess.
Oh, and there's still aspects of that war that are suppressed as being, untrue, depending on which country you're from.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
Anyway, to get away from controversy.
Yeah, that got a
Star
bit
Wars.
serious.
Completely uncontroversial.
There's a new Star Wars movie, the Star Wars The Last Jedi. Teaser trailer dropped for that a couple of weeks ago. Looks pretty good. Looks like, Luke Skywalker's finally come to his senses and is abandoning the Jedi way to become Grey Jedis, is what the consensus is on the internet at the moment. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I reckon that's probably a very solid, easy guess. And I mean, really, there were a lot of issues with the traditional Jedi model of, only Sith deal in absolutes being one of the lines that everyone goes, well, hang on, that's an absolute. But I think it serves to underline how the White Jedi aren't to have Grey Jedi because they would represent the reality of, human nature. You can't be completely lawful all the time with zero emotion.
It's not lawful even, it's just, being human. I mean, Luke Skywalker's always kind of, in the EU at least, he's always had a wife, a girlfriend, and had kids. And, the prequels were really the first kind of time that they kind of put forward this idea that Jedis can't marry like priests and, have to live this very strict way where they're not allowed to fall in love. The original trilogy, New Hope, Empire, Jedi, never really talked about that, and it was all about love and how using the power of love to first of all protect your family and then to redeem your family. And then the extended universe even took that even further, and no spoilers, but I suppose it's all not canon anymore, but when Luke fell to the dark side, it was the love of his sister that brought him back to the light side. So post prequel era, the Jedi seem to be more powered by love than this passion, this kind of clinical sereneness that they seem to want to embrace in the prequel trilogy.
That no marriage thing, is that meant to be the same as priests, as in they don't want a hierarchical family caste, like families inheriting power, that sort of thing? Or
no, they don't want any sort of love, because love leads to fear, fear leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't
So,
sure
I
if
mean,
it was meant to be a bit of a throwaway as well to, the old... that is essentially why priests don't get married, at least in the Catholic tradition, is to avoid building family power bases.
And that happened anyway. Look at the Borgias.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Well, no, that's... don't want to delve too much into history, but that's the Pope used to be able to get married because he didn't have to be a priest. And yeah, they did actually get, these families like the Borgias with Pope Alexander V, I think it was, who, set up his son and daughter with, different roles within the church and pretty much controlled a lot of Europe during the Renaissance.
So, welcome to Historic Iguana, the Calmer Iguana offshoot podcast, where we talk about the Korean War.
To be fair, I learned most of that from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, so...
Okay, well,
yes, the greatest game of the last generation.
Was it?
I don't know, I just had to say something.
Okay. And the different news, the what happened with the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic last year. Since the last podcast, the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic was announced. Came out in very limited quantities. It was almost impossible to get. I know I tried many different times to get it, frantically reloading while at work rather than doing actual work. Couldn't get my hands on it. And then people started playing it, and there are numerous complaints about it. And then it was discontinued when the Switch was announced, or when the Switch came out. And now we've got a new announcement saying that SNES is now replacing it for this holiday season coming. So what do you guys think about that?
Is that going to be in the same fashion? Like, is it going to be limited release, close it down, discontinue?
Well, so the details we have, I guess, at the moment, that it will be similar in vein as, it's just basically not necessarily disrespectful, but a glorified emulator. It's going to have a lot of the old classics on it, and in a one easy sort of like plug it in and play kind of like package. But yeah, it would be disappointing However, I don't see it going any other way other than, yeah, they'll make very limited quantities, help to sell it, I guess, at an exorbitant price, and then discontinue not long after. And I imagine that they maybe make version 2, and sort of go through a bit of a cycle, some different games. It means they can sort of sell it again, then discontinue that one. A bit of a vicious cycle. I think they sort of see it as a good, quick kind of cash cow. And I think it's disappointing because I think they could probably actually benefit more longer term by, having a steady stream of production of it. They have this huge library of games to lean on that they could, continue to produce, NES and SNES, do concurrently. I think that the buyer base for a system like that, the tugging at the sort of retro, hey, I remember playing this as a kid kind of like strings, reaching out, and you're going to hit a market that, doesn't game today, but, used to game back in the day and loves, playing Donkey Kong and all that sort of stuff. And they're going to pick it up again because, hey, I can play those games again. I remember when I was, 11, I want to play that again. And I think that, a lot of people who like that, I think that's the kind of target market. And I think those people are going to miss out because a few people will buy it. I think people like you or I or Wilson, if we genuinely want to play some old school NES or SNES games, we're probably going to download an emulator, download the games for free, and just play it on our PCs or something. I don't know. It's not the right legal way, I guess, in terms of like from copyright and all that sort of way. But it's ridiculous to like pay like kind of the fees and for the privilege of owning a machine that they're sort of like putting up when it could be done so much cheaper, and they could actually almost go for the iTunes model. So sell a little box and here's the library, pay $1 a game or something, and like the same way you pay for a song, and just have that. I think that's probably the way that they should do it, but Nintendo's a big beast that's going to do what they want to do, and people are going to buy it because they love Nintendo.
We say exorbitant price. I mean, it was only $100 for like 30 games, so that was a fairly fair price. I just think it was disappointing the quantities that they released of it weren't that great. Speaking for myself, I got a new DS last year at some point, or a couple of years ago, actually, now I think about it. And last year I picked up all of the old Mario games for like $8 a piece. So, I mean, the Virtual Console is doing all right, but I'm not going to buy a Nintendo Switch to play old school Mario. The rumors I've heard online are that they had to discontinue the NES to allow Switch to go into full-scale production. So hopefully they haven't, hopefully that's over and done with, and, they're going to have enough time to, make enough quantities of the SNES so that, we can get a console.
I don't believe that for a second.
You don't? Okay.
No, there are some similar components, but it's, especially for the numbers that, that already released a limited quantity for the Christmas before and they would have already had to have started production on Switches by that stage. So I mean, it's not implausible, but I think they're probably creating their own demands. They're trying to create their own supply and demand issues.
I always had the plan, if I ever have kids, to make them play the old school games so that they have some respect when they come up and play the new school games.
Reference.
Some reverence, which is what the NES would have been good for. That being said, I never played NES when I was small, and I was only ever introduced to Super NES. Only ever introduced to Nintendo with the Super NES, and even then at friends' houses.
Super NES.
Yeah, even then only at friends' houses. So, if I really wanted to get to give my kid similar experience to what I had, I would be starting with the Atari 2400, then moving on to PC, and then back to Xbox, 20 years later. So, Josh, any plans to get a SNES?
Well, I was just thinking about that, what you were saying about discontinuing it to allow the Switch to go forward. I mean, the Switch is traveling fairly well at the moment. I guess it depends what their long-term plans are, whether they're going to allow, I guess, that entire back catalogue to be available to the Switch instead of the NES or SNES.
I think they are, because, I mean, the Virtual Console is already doing pretty well on the Wii U and the 3DS.
Yeah,
So
so I think they maybe identified it as something that there was interest in, but they were trying to supersede with another one of their products anyway, so they just canned it early. But even so, yeah, playing that back catalogue, and it's strange, there's a bit of a trend these days, I guess, because of the indie explosion that we've had with, I guess what you'd call old school graphic models that work really, really well. And it actually feels like less of a barrier to play these games now than it would have 15 years ago or more when we were doing that push into realistic graphics. Now it feels like it doesn't matter, it's the gameplay matters again. So I think there quite easily could be a second renaissance for these games to come back on the market without any significant change in production. I mean, they could certainly stand to tweak a couple of games here and there, but I reckon, yeah, I honestly reckon that a lot of these games could come back, earn serious money for Nintendo again. I mean, if you bought Mario for $8, if they don't have to do anything much to get it ready for production, that's pretty decent profit.
Mario is a good game and had excellent mechanics.
What would it have
What are
sold
you
for
doing?
originally? What would have been the
Sorry?
original price point for Mario when it was first released?
It was a cartridge, so probably double what a game would be now in today's dollars. So about
So
$200, like in today's dollars.
Excellent.
good, factual.
I remember. Oh fuck! I got Super Star Wars
Oh, Super Star Wars. I remember Super Star Wars.
$60 in 1990 something. So bringing it up to today's money, that's probably about $200. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to do inflation. I was just curious as to
Okay.
what, because I lived in the country and there were no stores, so yeah,
Yep.
we could only play the games that were grown locally at the game farm. We had to walk to
Did
the
you ever
village.
did you ever have any consoles or anything back in those days, Josh? Or
Yeah,
did you just
had an Atari, the 2600. That was the first one we had, and that got some very, very solid play. We didn't have that many games, but yeah, the ones we did have got smashed. And then a Sega Mega Drive, I reckon. So that was that awkward time where it was like, do you get the Master System or the Mega Drive? Like, which one's the... Because they were sort of concurrent there for a while.
Yeah, I got the Master System right at the end of its life cycle, just as the Mega Drive was coming out, and I was just like, I wish there was a podcast that I could listen to that was telling me about new consoles coming out, so that I didn't get this old ass console and got the newest thing. But alas, I got 32-bit rather than 64.
You're ahead of your time.
I know,
Like you invented the podcast
I know.
without realizing it.
Yeah, but
You
yeah,
even named it.
I did. Yeah, so I had the Master System, and I was limited to old games basically
Yeah.
on there too. I think PC was really how I got into gaming rather than the Master System.
Yeah, mine would be the same. I mean, a lot of my friends had the Nintendo and the SNES. But for me personally, yeah, first PC around about 99, something like that, so relatively late into it. It's been my first love ever since.
Yeah. So we touched on it briefly, but it has been a long time since we last podcasted. The Nintendo Switch came out while we were away. Basically, a console. If you're listening to this, you probably know everything that there is to know about it.
You can tell us more about it.
Yeah, you can tell us more about it. I'd like to get one of them, because I just would get one just for Mario and Mario Kart and
Zelda.
Yeah, I've never played a Zelda game in my life, so I can't really be a games podcaster, I guess. But yeah, I'd like to try Zelda and Mario, but that really I wouldn't be getting it for any third party games.
Zelda's been hugely popular. I think everyone knows that by now as well. It's got an amazing following, and I've seen some really, really cool, inventive gameplay, making the most of the different mechanics in the game to try and circumvent
Fighting.
Yeah, or just in general. You've got whoever's designing the game obviously wants to give you some options, and I think it's fantastic when you see people grab together various bits and pieces, and then like the one where the guy was playing it with Link was naked, and he was smashing one of the end bosses with a wardrobe. And it's like, when they wrote the game, they weren't exactly imagining that outcome, but it's fantastic that someone can actually take the game and do that with it.
Yeah, but does it actually do anything that Dark Messiah of Might and Magic hasn't done before, really? I mean, it's basically just a Dark Messiah of Might and Magic clone, isn't it, Josh?
Maybe. I've got Dark Messiah sitting on my shelf, actually. I've never played it, but it's sitting there. So.
Well, I mean, that was supposed to be the physics emergent gameplay version of Skyrim, or Oblivion, I guess, because it's that old, and it never really took off. But now Zelda comes along and provides all of these mechanics and systems that are, allows it to be the emergent gameplay version of Skyrim. And now, hopefully, Skyrim and Fallout learn from it, because God knows I'm never going to get to play it. Unless I buy a Switch, I guess.
Buy a Switch.
Switch. But that's the thing, I think, is I look at it the same way. I'd really like a Switch. I'm gaining new employment at the moment, which will mean I'll actually have a commute on public transport rather than driving. So I'd actually have an opportunity to play something that, is somewhat portable. But for the price, and to play Mario and to play Zelda, Mario, I don't know that I don't know that I can necessarily justify it at this. Not that it's not that I don't think it's worth it, but I think maybe that with the Nintendo sort of only, like, the only thing you'd sort of get it for is the Nintendo's exclusives, and is it at that point then worth just for Nintendo exclusives?
Yes, it is. It's Mario.
There we go. Look, Mario is good.
It's only $400 though. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's not super expensive.
Yeah.
You'd be paying more for. Did you pay more for like a 3DS when it first came out?
Yeah, with games, 3DS games are really expensive. So once you take a few games into account, I think that probably a Nintendo Switch should be about the same as a 3DS. And if I was
when it was first released.
No, the 3DS, I think I paid $300 for it and then paid $100 and something for games. So yeah, $469 for a Nintendo Switch is the price I'm looking at, and that looks really, really realistic.
Yeah, but that's without games.
Yeah. But a game is only $89. I'm not sure how much it is on their e-store, but yeah. Then again, I suppose the Switch, you don't get that much space on it to play e-store games either. I'm with you. I mean, if I was still commuting for work or traveling to Queensland quite often, or Canberra, I would definitely probably get one in order to take on trips with me. That would be cool. At the moment, not commuting as much as I used to. I'll probably just stick with the games that I have, or the consoles that I have, until Mario comes out, I guess.
Definitely in agreement here. My commute is pretty much zero. The longest part of my trip is actually just the final walk to work. And I mean, realistically, all other times, as soon as you get home, like if you want to play Mario or whatever, yeah, sure, I could like fire up an emulator, or I find it weird having a portable game player, but sitting at home and playing that, it just feels, I don't know. Yeah, it just feels strange.
Well, I think it's actually like a really good system in that it straddles the line. You can sit it down, plug it in, and then you're playing your game on your TV on the wall, and it's all really nice. And then, you know what, I got to go. So like, you pick it up, and you can just keep playing it, on wherever you might be. I think that's really good. It's, I guess, yeah, like justifying, like you said, for play that Mario game. Is it really? Yeah, at this point. It's the early adopter like conundrum, I guess. Like do you go out as the early adopter, or do you give it potentially a couple of software iterations, some more titles come out, and then maybe it looks a bit more appealing. I certainly think the Switch is worth the money. I think it's just more, certainly for my scenario, for my position at the moment, it's probably not. I mean, I'd probably more consider, and this is getting a little bit budget, but like a 2DS for like a commute, something that you can pick up for, under a couple of $100 in some games.
Probably get a Switch though when Harry's a bit older. That's probably the ideal console for a small child, I would say.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, definitely. I'd love some Mario Kart.
Halo.
Mad for it.
No.
Hello.
That's always been
Doom.
the thing. That's always been the target, or not the target audience for for Nintendo, but that's always been one of their strengths is the games that both a grown man and a child can enjoy together. Especially the new Mario games where you can if it was us playing, we'd just be fucking with each other constantly. Whereas if you're playing with your kid, you'd be, come on, jump over that thing, and helping each other.
Yeah. Or if you're a man-child, it's perfect for both.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. What else is newsy?
Battlefront.
Battlefront 2, following on from the heels of the Last Jedi trailer. Battlefront 2 trailer was leaked out, and then EA followed it up with an official release shortly after. Yeah, there's a second Battlefront game coming out, which apparently is going to make up for all the failings of the last one, but we'll have to see about that. A lot of different criticisms of the last one, not least of which was you couldn't get into the ships and take off yourself. You had to spawn into them. There was no single-player campaign to speak of. Yeah, and I'm not sure if they have released a position on the spawning into ships thing, but they've definitely announced that there is going to be a single player in this game. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's the Star Wars first-person experience that we've been asking for since bloody Republic Commando.
Yes.
Yeah, they've made a lot of promises with regards to this one, and that it should be what the first one was meant to be. But I don't know. They're getting so much money through pre-orders these days that they could still half deliver and then not care about disappointing the fan base.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's the
EA way.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But hopefully they don't just rely on a name to sell it, and because it's a game with Star Wars in its title, it's gonna sell.
Yeah. So
hopefully they do try and live up to the legacy, so that they don't kind of ruin it for future games, basically.
Yeah.
And just
I want
keep
it
things
to work. I want it to be so good as well. I don't want it to fail. I want it to be amazing. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I want the single-player storyline experience, Knights of the Old Republic style game set in the new era that we've been promised to come out sooner rather than later. I mean, yeah, Star Wars is a first-person shooter in the Star Wars universe is all well and good, but that's not really what you come to Star Wars for. It's more the story and the Force and the flying.
Yeah, and look, now's the time. The movies, they're all coming out now. Renewed interest and support. Don't half-ass it. Make it the best game there ever was.
Well, yeah, exactly. Look, and they nailed the graphics
And
I
sound.
think it was and sound. I think it was probably the best looking game last year. Just beautiful game.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the one coming out from Visceral in a few months, whenever that comes out. That'll be the big one. Yeah, I think that about does it for news tonight or today, doesn't it? This evening?
I think she does. So a quick look through the new releases coming up. I believe we've got. Have we got it anywhere? Oh no, hang on. Bear with us. Nope, that's not it. Here we are. The timeline. What's coming up in this month? I guess, considering this month is very short now, as we record this. This month is about to end. Looking into May. Prey, the big one. What's coming up this week?
Hopefully that'll be the not a follow-up, but hopefully that'll be something that myself as a Dead Space fan, I've been missing out on that that science fiction horror for quite a while, and with Alien coming out next month as well. Prey should be a great science fiction horror game as well.
Yeah, no, that'll be very good to see. Seen some of the review sort of gameplay stuff. It does look pretty interesting. For those with a Nintendo Switch, Minecraft makes its way to your platform, so I'm sure you're about to start your 300th Minecraft save on your Switch.
That's a perfect platform for it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
As we said, the children being on Switch. The children
being on the Switch. Injustice 2 comes out on the 16th of this month. That will be interesting. The next follow-up, the next DC fighting game.
Of course, famously missing their launch window, missing out on launching alongside Batman vs Superman. But no, they had to slip it to coming out alongside Wonder Woman, I guess.
Yes, yeah. Look, still just as an important release. So, and Wonder Woman is, I'm sure, in Injustice 2, isn't she? I'm sure she'd be.
Supergirl is. That's all I know.
Supergirl is.
Really matters.
And that's important. That's the main thing. I'm looking through the list. Is there anything else particularly important there? Things are still coming out for the Wii U, apparently.
The Surge, science fiction Dark Souls, coming out on the 16th, same day as Injustice 2. So if you're into science fiction Dark Souls, I guess you can try The Surge. A remake of one of the greatest games of last generation, the Darksiders, War Mastered Edition, is coming out on the Wii U. Friday the 13th, coming out on the 26th, towards the end of the month. That'll be awesome. Another asymmetrical multiplayer game in the vein of Left 4 Dead, but instead of having 4 versus 4, they're having 1 versus 4.
So like Evolve?
Yeah, actually. Probably closer to Evolve than Left 4 Dead.
Hopefully it's the Evolve that we wanted.
Not the one that we got.
Not the one that we got.
In that it comes out for free as well. No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's like everything I've seen from it looks pretty good. You know, it's a chance to play as Jason. The game originally came out being made by fans of Friday the 13th, and it was never explicitly tied to Friday the 13th, but then the owners of the license evidently found out about it and said, actually, this looks pretty cool. We'll attach the license to it, and they got to mention Jason in it, and it's going to be it's good to see fans getting rewarded like that, I guess. Apparently you get to play as multiple different Jasons in the game as well, which should be interesting. You get your Jason Takes Manhattan Jason, where he has his off-Broadway costume, and the Jason X Jason, where he looks like the Terminator. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
And the Jason Statham as well.
Jason Statham Jason. He's the ultimate Jason, though. Like
he is.
You wouldn't count to defeat the Jason Statham Jason.
Oh, especially the one from Crank.
Ever.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Especially the Jason Statham from Crank.
Imagine if they had gotten Jason Statham to play Casey Jones in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That would have been cool.
That would have been Jason Statham playing a character based off of Jason. Or wearing a hockey mask, at least.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2. If you like Japanese 2D sprite fighters, I guess you can play that.
Spriters,
as it was. And Star Trek Bridge Crew on the HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and PlayStation VR.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be very cool. If only we owned one of those devices. That would an awesome game to play.
And movie-wise, coming up across May, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy have just released. Pirates of the Caribbean coming through. I've seen a trailer for that, and I don't know. Reserving judgment feels like just another payday for Johnny Depp.
So Will Turner looks like he's in that, and like the latest trailers I've seen shows Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann being in there as well. So, but I haven't seen Orlando Bloom or that lady Keira Knightley being mentioned in the trailers at all. So, do you know anything more about that, Josh?
I didn't look into the trailer I saw. They didn't actually introduce the guy and girl who were there with him. But it did sort of feel like the guy was meant to be, if he's not Will Turner, he's meant to be a direct replacement for Will Turner.
Yeah, there is a replacement for Will Turner, but there is also Will Turner appearing in there as the replacement for Davy Jones. So that should be interesting. And also in the trailer, it announced that it was the end of the adventure or something like that. But then reading into it, it was like it was the beginning of the end of the adventure. So it sounds like there's a trilogy planned that's going to end the adventure from the previous trilogy. But Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides was meant to be that anyway, and that failed. So they're restarting another trilogy again. So
let it die.
I
don't know if I could do it. Like watching through the trailer, It was okay, and I think it'd probably be an enjoyable movie, but I didn't really see anything that made me think, wow, yeah, let's really get hyped about this. It just kind of feels like more of the same at this point.
Do yourself a favor and just watch Pirates of the Caribbean 1 again.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Watch it 3 times.
Do us all a favor.
There's your trilogy. King Arthur coming out as well.
I just made me think of just someone. I could just imagine like a really eclectic director just sort of being like, no, this one movie is my trilogy. Please observe it 3 times. It will all make sense in the end.
Hey, that's what Nier Automata is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full circle. Come back around.
Full circle. You have to play it 3 times to get the full story, apparently. Anyway.
Oh god. Just quickly, yeah, King Arthur coming out, Alien Covenant,
Yes.
and Baywatch, if you're into that.
Yes.
Yes, The Rock.
Yes. No, Baywatch looks like it's going to be going for very much the same vibe as 21 Jump Street, which is probably one of my favorite movies of the last couple of years. So I've been loving Zac Efron's work in Bad Neighbors and Bad Neighbors 2 recently, and you can't go wrong with The Rock. So
Yeah,
it looks pretty good.
Yeah, The Rock is very watchable, so I think that it'd be a good fun movie.
Is he
and that's
the
about
most
the most for this
banked?
month. Hey,
The Rock's the most bankable movie star in history at the moment, isn't he, or something like that? It was either The Rock or Vin Diesel has
Yeah. It's The
gotten
Rock.
the
I'm pretty
most-
sure it's The Rock.
yeah, it's
generated
The
the most money ever. So
Rock.
As a Rock.
as Rock.
As
Well, apparently,
Rock.
Fast and Furious 8 is now the largest opening weekend of all time because they launched in China as well as the United States on the same weekend. So it overtook The Force Awakens. And that'll just put more money into The Rock's record, I guess.
Yeah, I still haven't
The
seen
Rock
it, but
record.
I've heard that this one is better than even the last few. So they reckon they've just absolutely nailed it on the formula, and it was fantastic. So
I'd like to see it, but my wife won't let me.
Well, we should see it. I've actually recorded the first 7 on the Foxtel. They had a pop-up movie channel. No, we don't have the movie channel, but they sometimes unlock things. They popped up a pop-up movie channel just before, just after Fast 7. That had all of them on there. So I've got all of them ready to go through in time to see the next one. So I have some viewing this week apparently.
Potentially. Well, you haven't seen them.
Well, I mean, I've seen the first 4.
They're like the worst 4.
Oh well, I mean, when you're in your mid to late teens, they're best 4.
No, I would definitely recommend seeing 5, 6, and 7 then before seeing 8, or not before seeing 8, but in general, they're good movies.
Yeah, definitely.
nice. And one final thing, the Necromancer beta for Diablo is going to launch very, very soon. One of the promised, what was it, E3? I think they made the announcement last year. We covered it briefly.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
We did talk about it.
briefly.
I remember talking
was
about
one of
the differences between that and the Witch Doctor.
Yeah, and I guess if it's like the traditional
Yes, that's right.
Necromancer from Diablo 2, it'd be quite decent. It was fantastic to have an army of skeletons that you just got stuck in the middle of and then couldn't get out of because they just milled around you too closely.
Skellingtons, please. Pronounce it properly.
Skeletons, Jack Skellington. No, I mean, I love Diablo 2. Diablo 3, I really enjoy, but it doesn't quite have that same nostalgia feel now it's been out for a while. So I'll give it a go again when Necromancer comes out, and I'm hoping that sort of harks back to that original feeling of the game anyway. So that'll be
I should download it again. We can play together.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
Find my BattleNet passcode.
In fact, if you're listening out there now and you want to play Diablo 3, I don't really do much day in, day out. My evenings are kind of free, so hit me up.
Should have a child or take up CrossFit or start writing a novel.
I could
Yeah,
probably do
all those
3.
things take
I
up
seem
considerable time.
Yeah.
I seem to have the time for that.
So
Excellent.
you got Barney and Pixie.
Yeah, my fur kids.
Oh.
Oh. All right. Well, on that sad note, no, not really. Josh's
Welcome to my
cry
life,
for help.
Please talk to me.
I have to get home and get writing. So
Yeah, that's gonna do it for this week and for this first episode of season 2 of the Calmer Iguana podcast. If you have any emails, any questions, any stories you want to tell us, anything you want to inform us about, please send us an email at calmeriguana@gmail.com. Go to Facebook, facebook.com/calmeriguana to join our Facebook page, or just search for Calmer Iguana when you're on Facebook. Like us there, drop us comments there, and get ready to follow. And make sure you like, rate, and review us on iTunes to get, I guess, that's up close, to get all the latest of when we're being recording, and get the latest episodes. So, with that said, I've been Paddy.
I've been Josh.
And I've been waiting for you to say your damn name. I'm Ev, aka also Josh. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week.
Farewell.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Cabana production.